This is the king of the kingdom, King Taven himself. And don't be a Melvin. Listen to Morgan Richards on Radio Cardiff, you Melvin.
Hey, I'm Morgan Richards from Radio
Hello.
Cardiff, and I'm very pleased to say I'm joined live on the phone now by a man who is the ruler of professional wrestling's true kingdom. It's, of course, the King, Matt Taven.
That's me, Matt Taven. It's good to be here. How are you?
Not too bad, thanks. Thanks for joining us.
No, thank you for having me.
So how's things?
You know, I've been waiting to hear when my title shot's going to be announced for this UK tour, and it hasn't. And so far, I'm defending my six-man tag championship in a first ever three-team trios match, which I don't understand why, we have to defend our titles against two teams. That just seems a bit unfair considering we already gave SoCal Uncensored their championship rematch. And me and Jay Lethal have been announced, but me and Dalton Castle has not been announced for this tour. And I'm starting to wonder why that is.
We'd be remiss if we didn't state the acknowledgement of this whole conspiracy with Ring of Honor have had against you and the Kingdom recently, leading you to take over intermissions and protest outside some of their bigger shows. Just talk to us about that and having to work through it.
You find yourself under contract with a company, and then you realize that you're kind of at their will and at their mercy. And when you see that you're being treated unfairly for the work that you're putting in, and not getting what you deserve, it's making sure that the fat cats up top get their money while I don't get what I deserve. And all I deserve, or all I want, I should say, and what I do deserve is the opportunity to let everyone know just how great Matt Taven is. And if it takes, voicing my opinion at intermission or before shows or protesting or on podcasts, spreading the word, making this a grassroots campaign, then that's just what I'm going to have to do, because I'm not one to sit there and take it. I'm one to make sure that the truth is heard. And the truth is that there's a conspiracy against me in Ring of Honor.
And even though with the conspiracy, you've become one of Ring of Honor's premier stars in your 5-year stint with the company, how would you explain your evolution in the business in that time while still being able to compete in the likes of New Japan and CMLL?
Well, I mean, I think the progression of Matt Taven in the wrestling business is one of, kind of being like a baby bird or a new puppy, not having your eyes completely open to the game, and, giving all that you can, and succeeding when opportunities are giving, but not really understanding that, sometimes people aren't going to give you those opportunities. Sometimes people are going to hold you down. Sometimes you're going to have to go out there and take it. And whether it's been, setbacks like major knee surgery, I've never let any of that stop me. I've continued to make sure I've progressed and make sure that I continue to grow my game as a wrestler, whether it's going to Japan, going to Mexico, going to the UK, learning all these different styles, making sure that I can compete in all these different areas, succeeding whenever I've been given opportunities. I mean, I think that's the story of Matt Taven. And to me, the story is just incomplete because there's only one thing left for me to do at Ring of Honor. And I've done all these different things all around the world when given the opportunity. Now, if Ring of Honor wants to give me that opportunity, I'm going to do the same thing here. I've been in Ring of Honor for 5 years now. 5 years. I'm only the second man in history to hold titles in CMLL, New Japan, and Ring of Honor. You know how many world title shots I've had in 5 years? 2. And both of them had interference in it. And Ring of Honor has done nothing about that. 0. Then now, just on those statistics alone, 5 years, I've won 5 major titles around the world, and I've had 2 world title shots of Ring of Honor. Does that sound right to you?
Of course, Matt, speaking of evolutions, you can't deny the impact this version of the Kingdom has had with you breaking out with your own identity with TK and Vinny. Of course, this previous incarnation involves yourself, Adam Cole, Mike Bennett, and Maria Kanellis. But does this just feel like a whole different ballgame?
To me, not at all, and that's kind of why that Vinny and TK are in the kingdom. You see, with me and Mike, obviously we've gone back since basically day one for me in wrestling, um, as being just close friends. You know, we trained together, rode together all over the East Coast and all over the states on the independent scene. And obviously, when Maria came around, it just was no different, as we all were just ride um, and be together in most places as it is. And then we're in Ring of Honor. Me and Cole were just as peas in a pod, two of the closest guys that you would find. And that whole group was just something that was really real, just real friends, looking out for each other, wanting the best for each other, wanting each other to succeed. And when it came time to kind of change things up and for me to come back from knee surgery, it really was a no-brainer, because at the same time that me and Bennett are on the road together, Vinny's usually with us for the most part. Vinny came up in the same school as us, did a lot of the independents with us, and we would all ride together as a unit. And then TK came up in the same school as well, Spike Dudley's lockup school in Massachusetts. We're all trained under Spike. And TK was just one of those, and instantly kind of fit in with the rest of the group, and just seemed like he had always been there from the beginning. So for this group, of me and Vinny, it has that same feeling, and me, Vinny, and TK, I should say, it has that same feeling as me, Mike, Marie, and Cole, because it's that same kind of relationship, it's that same friendship, it's that same bond, it's that same group that would do anything for one another. And when we have chances, the group all gets together as a whole. And we have Kingdom Christmas parties with the whole big giant massive group, because it's one of those things where we're in this together, and it's no matter where we go, we're kind of all we'll always continue to be friends, but we'll always look out for each other and have that Kingdom brotherhood.
Yeah, it's almost like a family in some aspects.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, I can definitely say that I spend more time at least with these guys than I do my family. And me and Mike have been unbelievably close over the years. And I just he flew back home the other day to see his parents, and I got to meet the baby for the first time. It's just crazy, but that relationship between all the members of the kingdom will always kind of have that special bond. And no matter if we haven't seen each other for a while, with our schedules being the way it is, as soon as we see each other again, it's like we just saw each other the day before, and we just pick up right where we left off.
Oh, great to hear. And with all that, of course, this has led you to becoming the current Ring of Honor six-man tag team champions. The concept of these titles is quite a unique one in pro wrestling at the moment, given another platform to teams. Do you think this is just a testament to how good and supportive the tag teams division is right now?
Well, I think it's actually more of a testament of trios wrestling in general. It's something that is going to, I think, have a bigger impact in the Northeast, in the North America wrestling scene, just because you're seeing it be a bigger. Obviously, it's always been a big thing in Mexico, but it's becoming a bigger thing in Japan. And usually the American scene kind of follows foot as well, especially with Ring of Honor and Lucha Underground, putting an importance on trios wrestling. But I think it just goes to show you the amount of talent that there is in general in wrestling these days. There's so many, talented wrestlers, and when you put six men in the same ring, usually it's kind of one of the most exciting matches of the entire card, and the appeal of it is spreading. And Ring of Honor introducing these six-man tag titles close to 2 years ago, and then seeing the development of the division since then, seeing international stars, guys from CMLL come over, obviously New Japan guys, the trios as well come over, and then from my personal experience going to Mexico as well, um, trios wrestling is where it's at, and it's on the rise, and I think will continue to grow. It's something that you used to see, obviously, in the States in the old Crockett NWA days. And I think you're going to see the growth of trios and six-man divisions, in all companies continue to climb as the years go on.
And with that, despite the conspiracy, Honor Club have just recently released their new on-demand service in Honor Club, putting the whole archive of their back catalogue online. What matches or moments really stick out for you personally and on a company level?
Well, there's it's so hard to put your finger on. For me personally, there's a couple of matches that stick out, and that I'm really happy that people are able to kind of go back on this Honor Club and see. There's a match in particular between me and Mike Bennett and the Briscoes. 2 out of 3 falls, Armageddon match in Atlanta, and I actually split my head open, need 6 staples on the top of my head, but I continue wrestling that match, and it's just an absolute brawl. And the thing is that it wasn't on TV or pay per view, and it's one of those matches that's a diamond in the rough. So for people now to be able to go check it out, it's something that I personally would hope that they would do, because I'm extremely proud of that match. Also, me and Jay Lethal at Field of Honor, the cage match in the middle of the baseball field. Even though it didn't end the way I would like it to, but it was a match that I can always look back on as a turning point in my career, especially. And now with Honor Club, I would hope that people go out and search that out as well. But for the company as a whole, to go back to not too long ago, and as Best of the World is creeping up next month, Best in the World's 2014 was our very first pay-per-view ever. And it was in Nashville. It's obviously on Honor Club now. But just to go back and look at that, like, first actual pay-per-view, not iPay-per-view, is boom, you could say it's going to be here at this time and order it now. And to see the growth of the company from that moment, you can really kind of mark that day as a turning point in Ring of Honor, and really see the growth of the company that followed afterwards. So that first pay-per-view is just kind of a nice one to go back to kind of see the growth of what's happened since then.
And of course, Matt, just a couple more quick things before you go. I know away from wrestling, you're a huge alternative and rock music fan. Can you kind of tell us some of the artists and albums you regularly listen to on the road, traveling so much throughout the year?
Oh, that's a great question. I like to, always kind of be the DJ of every car ride that we're on. So I'm constantly like looking up new music, and trying to get like a variety of music to play. I always pride myself on my music knowledge, but like when it comes to me personally, I go back to that real like emo pop punk eras. Like those are my teenage and like kind of real like molding years when it came to music. But even before that, Smashing Pumpkins, Melancholy and Infinite Sadness, I always say is an album that like kind of changed my perspective on music, and really made me realize that like pop, there was more than just like what was going on the radio and like pop music. And the other day I met Billy Corgan for the first time, which was turned me right into like a little 10-year-old fanboy. Like, hi, I just want to say I'm a big fan. I'm like, what is wrong with me? I never act like that. But for me personally, some of my favorite bands, the Get Up Kids, Saves the Day. I was just huge into that kind of, the after effect of the Blink 182 era, and like all the bands that came out afterwards. But still to this day, I come out at Arena Mexico to the used Pretty Handsome Awkward, which was my very first song that I ever used as entrance music, and just kind of like one of those things that to now come down the steps at Arena Mexico and the used is blasting over that arena speakers. It's kind of a crazy feeling to see, A, to be in Arena Mexico, and B, to be able to, request something like that and see it happen, and, have that feeling as you're walking down to the ring of, my first real, like, love of music kind of had me in this, like, mindset of wanting to be a performer, and, I've always wanted to be a wrestler since I was 6, but then I got into music, and then that kind of gave me a taste of like what it took to kind of make it in the entertainment industry, which then I, transformed into putting behind the work it took to being an independent wrestler and then making it past that. And it was just kind of like one of those things to like add all that stuff together, and kind of take all these different influences of life, and then it brings you there into that moment is a really cool thing to kind of look back on.
Matt, of course, now you're going to be extremely busy for the near future to continue on the road, coming to the UK for this Ring of Honor tour and everything else in between. But what else can we expect from yourself and the Kingdom now going forward?
Well, now that we finally got our hands on the property that was rightfully ours and that should have been ours for the last year, the six-man tag titles, we have no plans, and nobody is going to take those titles off us for the foreseeable future. We plan on taking those all over the world and defending them proudly, as championships that we deserve since the conclusion of the first ever Ring of Honor tournament to determine the first champion. But when it comes to me personally, where one conspiracy ends, as far as the six-man titles, another conspiracy begins, because I never got my shot at the Ring of Honor World Championship. And like I said before, my career in Ring of Honor won't be complete until I have that title, because from day one, that was the goal of mine. It was to be a Ring of Honor champion, to put myself on that list of prestigious wrestlers that have held that title before. I really think that you can hold up the lineage of the Ring of Honor champions against any other championship in history, and it shows the importance of it and just what it means. And it's something that continues to drive me and push me. And until Ring of Honor gives me the opportunity to fulfill my goal and to achieve my destiny, I'm not going to rest, and that conspiracy needs to be killed, and I need to become the Ring of Honor World Champion, because that's what I deserve.
Well, that's about it. Cheers, Matt, for taking time out to have a quick chat with us.
No problem at all. Thank you for having me.
No worries. Best luck now with everything, and hopefully I can speak to you again very soon.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully we see each other on that UK tour.